Hi everyone. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds before we kick off, but thank you so much for joining us for this webinar today. My name is Melanie Nethercott and I'm a program manager for AWS Educate. And we'll start shortly. Perfect. Okay. I wanted to say hello on the webcam while we kick off this webinar. And then I'm going to minimize my webcam so that we can show you some slides. But thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking time to come and learn about careers in the cloud. This is a webinar that is hosted by AWS Educate in partnership with Abdullah Al Ghoreir Foundation for Education. And we're going to walk you through a little bit about what is cloud computing, what are careers in the cloud, and how can you start to learn about the cloud and explore careers in the cloud as well. So let's get started. So you have today a wonderful set of presenters. I'm thrilled to have Zainab, Alanud, Abdulatif, and Stephen joining us today. Thank you. Each of us is going to be talking to you today about our various aspects of this webinar. I will talk to you about cloud and AWS Educate. Zainab, Alanud, and Abdulatif are our wonderful interns who are going to talk to you a little bit about what a day in their life looks like, just to give you an understanding of what does working in a cloud career look like. And then Stephen will talk about recruitment at AWS as well. The agenda for today is we're going to start off with talking about cloud computing, making sure that we're all happy with what it is as a kind of starting point and to provide context for all of the presentations later on. Then we're going to talk specifically about AWS, how you can learn about cloud and AWS cloud with AWS Educate. Then our interns are going to talk a little bit about their careers in the cloud, so their internships specifically, and then their kind of wider career goals. And then Amazon recruiting, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can start to explore cloud careers with Amazon as well. So that's what we're going to cover. We are going to be recording this session, so don't worry if you do have any technical issues. If you want to revisit any of this, it will be available on demand as well. And we would really, really like you to ask lots of questions, share any comments, share any thoughts. And the best way to do that is to pop questions in the chat. So each of you should have a panel where you can add questions, and we will address them all after the Amazon recruiting section of the presentation. So we'll definitely make sure to leave time at the end to get through your questions. And please do feel free to pop anything in there. Right, let's get started with what is the cloud. Some of you may be familiar with cloud computing, and if not, hopefully this will be a great introduction. So cloud computing refers to the on-demand delivery of IT resources via the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. Instead of buying, owning, or maintaining your own data centers and servers, organizations and individuals can turn on lights in their home. And the power company, oh my goodness, they can acquire and consume cloud as they use it. And it's just like turning on lights in your home. So you may only use electricity when you switch the light switch on. And cloud computing is just like that. You're only paying for what you consume and as you use it. And nearly every major industry across the globe is benefiting from the cloud. So we have the automotive industry, digital marketing, education, gaming, healthcare, oil and gas, travel and hospitality. And cloud computing is growing so rapidly. In fact, by next year, it's estimated 95% of workloads will process in the cloud. And you can see here that forecasts around kind of public cloud revenue growing steadily year on year. So why are organizations moving to the cloud, and why is it growing so fast? Well, it's because there are lots of benefits to having in-house data storage and maintenance. First, it's more agile. So that means that cloud allows companies to really quickly spin up resources when they need them. Secondly, there's almost always a cost saving component when you use this pay for IT when you need it model. Companies report saving more than 60%. Thirdly, cloud provides a unique elasticity for business models to scale up or down with business needs. So because they consume and pay as they consume, if they need more, they can do that really quickly. And if they need less, they can also do that very quickly. Next, Amazon and AWS is one of the most innovative companies in the world. Every year we launch new and improved programs and products. And adopting into this model allows other companies to maintain momentum with tech leaders and to focus on innovation. And finally, moving to the cloud allows companies to be really global. They can deploy anything, anywhere in the world within minutes. So what is AWS? Well, AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. And the AWS platform was launched in July 2002. And in its early stages, the platform consisted of only a few tools and services. In November 2004, the first AWS service launched for public usage, and this was our Simple Queue service. And after that, our famous Amazon EC2 service was developed. And AWS was officially relaunched in 2006, combining three initial service offerings of Amazon S3 Cloud Storage, the Simple Queue service, and EC2, which is our compute service. And in terms of infrastructure, we have launched 24 geographical regions and multiple availability zones. So finally, just on AWS, we do provide customers with the broadest and the deepest cloud platform. So we have more services and more capabilities within each service than any other cloud provider. And so what that means is customers can get the right tools for the job that they want to get done. It's more than just IT and infrastructure. It's also about artificial intelligence, machine learning, cybersecurity. We deliver innovation to customers at the fastest pace. So the rate of our innovation is huge. For example, in 2011, we released over 80 new significant services and features. That doubled to 160 in 2012, and in 2018 we released 1,957 significant new services and features. So we're innovating very, very quickly to meet our customers' needs. We have the largest global community of customers and partners. Millions of active users are on our platform and tens of thousands of Amazon partner network partners all across the globe. And we're the most mature cloud platform. So we have a lot of experience when it comes to scale, security, and performance. So we've given you a really quick introduction to cloud computing. And one of the things that's really notable about cloud is because it has grown so quickly, there's a real need for cloud skills in the workforce. So a lot of employers are desperate for cloud talent, but we haven't quite got enough supply. So this is called the digital skills gap. And AWS Educate is a program that is really trying to close that digital skills gap. And in fact, LinkedIn has reported that cloud computing has been ranked as a top hard skill every single year since 2014. So there's huge demand for cloud talent. And AWS Educate is essentially Amazon's global program where we provide students and educators with resources to accelerate cloud learning and to prepare you students for cloud-enabled jobs of tomorrow. And all of this is available at no cost. It was launched in 2015 as a program, actually in response to customers asking for help to find talent. And at a high level, AWS Educate is a website. So anyone who is an educator or a student who wants to learn more about cloud can sign up and take advantage of the resources. So what does AWS Educate look like for students? Well, we have a range of content that helps you explore careers in the cloud. We have our cloud career pathways that are organized into different job families, and these have all been created using labor market data. So we spend a lot of time talking to employers, looking at labor market data and identifying where is the biggest need for cloud skills. And then we've created these pathways to help you explore these. So you can start with an entry-level pathway or jump straight to intermediate and advanced pathways. And each of these is between 25 and 45 hours in duration. And when you complete these, you can get a digital micro credential that you can share with future employers as well. We also have badges. So these are not focused on careers in the cloud so much as areas of growth in technology. So it lets you explore different areas of technology and start to get familiar with anything from Internet of Things to machine learning and reinforcement learning to gaming. And these are a little shorter. These are between 10 and 15 hours. And again, if you're a student and you want to explore these, if you complete these badges, you can get digital micro credentials on completion. Of course, the aim here is really to connect students, you, to internship and employment opportunities. So we have a job board on the student portal so that you can search for jobs and internships. And it's a really simple interface. You can search by keyword or by country. And all of Amazon, AWS, our partners and our customers all post roles on the job board. And what's fantastic is we connect the openings back to the cloud career pathway. So if you want to stand out as a candidate, you can complete the pathway and then show that to the recruiter so they can see that you have these real life skills. So careers in the cloud, we started to talk about them. I want to dig into that in a little bit more detail now. I think the first thing that's really important to say is that there's a whole range of cloud careers out there. And of course, many of these are technical, but there are also non-technical roles and non-technical careers in the cloud. So just some examples here to help you start to think about what a career in the cloud could look like. Within the technical examples, you have a whole range of opportunities within programming, software development, information technology, and telecommunications. And then we've also got so many roles when it comes to web design and development, or even specifically around data. And those are just a short list of examples. There are many, many more. Non-technical examples are also included here. So I am in a non-technical role as a program manager, but I use the cloud and I talk about the cloud in my career too. And so this can involve anything from project and product managers, sales associates, sales managers, or even marketing professionals. So even having just an understanding of what cloud is, how to define it, what the applications are, can really help you to have more options out there and move into a range of cloud careers. And then just to give you an idea here, each of the cloud pathways on Educate are connected back to job families. So I don't want to spend too long on these slides, but I just want to show you that there are common job titles that you can find attached to every cloud career pathway. So for example, in our application developer pathway, that explores things like application development architecture and DevOps strategies. It starts to look at data and data structures, scripting languages, and all of that can help you move into a job title such as applications programmer, computer language coder, IT programmer, systems analyst. And so you can see that within each job family, there are so many different job titles. And then for this very busy slide, you can see that there are even more. So if you're thinking about cybersecurity, if that's something you're interested in, the cybersecurity cloud career pathway can help connect you and learn more about common job titles such as data security administrator, systems analyst, IT risk specialist. And even in the most experienced cloud roles, there is a whole range of different job names and job titles. So I really encourage you to explore what's out there, because there is really something for everyone. Okay, so with that said, I've talked a lot about what cloud is and how there's such a range of careers in the cloud out there. I'm going to hand over to our interns now, who are going to talk a little bit about what their experience has been of working in the cloud. I think this is a great opportunity to add color to understanding what a job can look like and what a day-to-day role in the cloud can look like. So I'm going to hand over now to Zainab to who'll tell you a little bit about herself and her current role. Zainab, would you mind unmuting yourself?
I think Zainab's just having a few tech issues. Maybe we can go one slide ahead and jump back, if that's all right.
Sure. Okay. Alinas.
Hello. I just want to make sure, is my voice clear? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So thank you all for joining us today. And before I begin, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Alinas Story, and I am a solutions architect intern in AWS Saudi Arabia. So just to give you a brief background, I hold a Bachelor of Science degree in Information Technology, Networks and Communication Systems. So I would like to just walk you through my journey and how I ended up in AWS and in the cloud in general. When I graduated from university, I graduated in December 2019. So I joined the company and I worked there as a software engineer intern. And basically what I was working on is the exact opposite of the cloud. I was working on the rack servers, which are hosted in the data centers. So I found it a little bit complex and a little bit old, but I was just working there. And then COVID-19 happened. So when COVID-19 happened, the company has told us to work from home. And during the first week of working from home, the company was just adapting with this whole new situation, and I didn't have much work to do. So I decided to just go and play with the cloud of the company since I have the access. So I started working on the cloud. I built a chatbot, and then I realized that the cloud is the career path that I want to take, and I need to switch my career. So I found it very interesting to work with the cloud. I found it very easy and straightforward and fun to do. So I decided to just switch my career and applied for cloud job, and luckily I got accepted in AWS. And now in AWS, so what I do on a day-to-day in my job, so first of all, I'm focusing on building stuff on the cloud, which is a project that is assigned to me to do. And other than this, there's of course a lot of meetings that I have to attend, and it makes me feel really engaged as an intern to attend these meetings and learn and know my team better. And there are also many fun things to do in AWS. So for example, there are many communities that I'm part of. And it's not related to my job at all. Like there's one of the communities which is for book lovers, where we can talk about books and suggest some great books to each other and discuss about books. So it's not related at all to my job, but it's fun thing to do. And also another community which is for the meditation and relaxation, where we open a meeting once a week and we have a yoga expert who teaches us what to do, and then we practice meditation and yoga. And I think it's very fun thing to do. So besides my job, and my 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 career goal will, of course, is to receive a full-time job offer from AWS, and I would like to also receive more certificates in AWS. So that's it all. That's all for me. And going to Abdul Latif Rashdan.
Thank you very much, Alan. I'm going to go to Abdul Latif and then we can circle back to Zain now.
Hello. Can everyone hear me well?
Yes, we can.
So hello everyone, thanks for attending this webinar. My name is Abdul Latif Rashdan and I'm a technical consultant intern with professional services for the MEA region. So let me tell you about my story and how I got here. So I am a fresh graduate, and literally fresh. I just graduated in June 2020 and got hired as an intern in AWS in July, in mid-July. But let me just go before that, before being there. So I got your attention now. So my journey with the cloud started much earlier, mostly in my third to fourth year, where I really loved the cloud because it allowed me to build things from the comfort of my home. So I have access to all these different services. I can access IoT services, high performance computing, and Docker containers. I can host a cluster. All this can be done while I'm at home. If you think about it, back in the traditional days of IT, you cannot do that unless you have a lot of money or you're working in a big IT company. Now with the cloud, this is possible. So why I'm joining AWS and why I would love to join such company? First of all, the simple reason would be this company is awesome. That's something. And also AWS is a building block company. So as you can see, you have many services, and these services can be used together to design an application, to drive an architecture, or to design a solution. And I'm a builder by nature. I love to build and see things work. So this job is really the perfect fit for me. And I'm practicing to become a future consultant after finishing my internship. So as a builder, you don't always have an idea what you're going to build. You love to build things, but whenever you have customers and you want to build for them, you really think about their challenges and the problems they are facing and really think it through and come up with the best solution and build on behalf of your customers. So that's good. I will be always building in my job. So I found the great match for me. So this is a typical day. I usually build, play with services to design projects or solutions. And yeah, that's all for me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Kira, can I hand over to Zainab now? I think.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go. Zainab, let me know.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
All right. So my name is Zainab Alawi. I'm a solutions architect intern in the MENA Public Sector Solution Architecture team, and I'm based in Bahrain. I recently graduated from University of Bahrain in January of this year, and I graduated from a computer science major. So the reason that I applied for a role in AWS is because I was lucky enough to be a part of a consultancy program beforehand. And that consultancy program had close relations with the AWS office where I live in Bahrain. So I actually got to go on an exclusive site visit to the AWS office, and the speaker there talked about Amazon's leadership principles. And he said something that really resonated within me. He said that here in AWS, we allow builders to innovate, and we understand that in order to innovate, sometimes you have to fail because sometimes the projects that were the biggest failures turned out to be the biggest successes later on. And it really resonated with me because it spoke volumes about the kind of culture that we have here in Amazon and in AWS. And that is the fact that you always have people supporting you and you always have people rooting for you. And you really get to take ownership of your growth in your career, and also to really learn from your mistakes and to really take risks and see things through to the very end. And what I love about this role in particular, being a solutions architect, is that I get to show customers the art of the possible. So our customers come to us with some business challenge or something related to costs, and they're like, okay, how can AWS help us with that? And this is where us solutions architects come in. We help them by creating an architecture for them, working backwards from their problems, and then showing them how they can solve those problems using AWS and through the cloud. We build proof of concepts, we write documentation, architecture, and we really get to see them kick off their AWS journey, and that is what really brings me joy as a solutions architect, to see our customers impressed by the capabilities that AWS bring to them and how it can enable them to reduce costs or innovate. And so in my day-to-day life as a solutions architect, what I especially enjoy about being in AWS is the fact that we are not only allowed but encouraged to own our own learning. So I dedicate an hour or two of my day to learn something new about AWS or technology generally. And then I take a few hours to catch up with my colleagues, have one-on-ones with my mentor, to see if he can support me if I'm blocked in my project, or to just be there to help me if I need to learn something or if I need his help with something. And even though I have been working remotely this entire time, it really hadn't occurred to me that I had been isolated from the team, because we're so connected and everyone's there for you when you need them. And you're never alone here and you're never lost. Everyone's super happy to help you and to watch you grow. And that is what I really, really love about working in AWS and being in this role. So my goals in generally cater to the role of an SA. So I would really love to help individuals and also enterprises leverage the cloud to really reduce costs and innovate and really take advantage of the newest technologies that we have right now. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. That was fascinating, and I think we can all agree our interns are fantastic, and I hope that provided some insight into their journeys, how they got to their AWS internships, what their goals are, and what their motivations are within the roles and in terms of next steps. So if any of this speaks to you, if you are interested in learning more about cloud, whether you are from a technical computer science background or not, the best next step really is just to start to be curious. And I highly recommend exploring AWS Educate. It's got lots of resources there if you are new to cloud. It will help you start to understand the basic definitions and applications and value proposition of cloud. and how you can leverage cloud computing in so many different ways. And if you are somebody who is from a technical background and you want to deepen your cloud computing skills, Educate also allows you to do that. So sign up and start exploring. And then, of course, more importantly, you may be interested in AWS recruitment. And I'm going to hand over to Stephen now, who can tell you a little bit more about that. Stephen?
Hi, everybody. Let me just pop my video on as well so you can see me. Cool, there we go, all set up. Yes, so as mentioned, I'm Stephen, and I am part of the student programs recruitment team, looking after the hiring of graduates and interns. So yeah, as you can see from the slide, our hiring process follows 3 steps, those being the online application and CV review. Then depending on the role, there may be coding assessments followed by interviews. So if there is no coding assessment, after the CV review, candidates will then move straight into their interviews. So it's step 1, the application and the CV review. So you'll be asked to submit your CV and complete some job-specific questions, and they're pretty basic stuff. It's just sort of things like which will ask you about your graduation year, where you studied, what you studied, etc. And then your CV along with this eligibility screening that we would have done from the job specific questions. That's done by the recruiter and the hiring manager. So some tips for this step to get through the sort of the CV review is make sure your CV is well structured, easy to read and concise as well. If you don't have much experience that you can add to your CV, add your university and your personal projects. Explain what those projects were about, what your role was on those projects. And also, we are a data-driven company. So where you can, always try to quantify your results. That really helps to provide more context of what you did, and add a little bit more to the understanding of the achievements of that project as well. So yeah, if you can do that, always try to quantify those results. And then when thinking about constructing your CV, think about your CV as being your first impression, right? So you're obviously not able to meet someone face to face, so your CV is what you're using as your first impression, and you obviously want to make a good first impression. So try and look at your CV through the eyes of a manager or a recruiter or a decision maker. So based on what your CV looks like and how it reads, would you want to get in touch with yourself if you were looking at the CV, and would you want to chat further? And if your answer to that is no, then you've obviously got a little bit more work to still do on that CV. Okay, so that brings us to the second step, which is, as mentioned, the coding assessments. So if there is one for the role, this will be an online assessment, which will be testing your technical abilities for the role. So if you've met the eligibility criteria and passed the CV review in step 1, you'll be sent a link to complete this assessment. Important to note is that once you've begun the assessment, you will need to complete it within one sitting, because once the timer of the assessment has started, you won't be able to stop. So if you do get up and kind of walk away and come back, you would have wasted some of the time that you would need to complete that assessment. So when you click start, there will be a little demo section that introduces you to the test interface, and then this will take this happens before the actual timer starts, so don't feel like you've got to read through that quickly. The timer will start once you move on to the next screen, and then about the timing, that obviously varies again depending on the actual role that you've applied for. Okay, so that brings us on to step 3, which will obviously be the interviews here. And again, if there's no coding assessment for the role that you're applying for, once you've done the CV review, then the interviews will be the next step. So these consist of both behavioral and technical interviews. And you may be wondering, what I mean by behavioral, and what do those questions look like. So this is where you'll be asked to show your suitability for the role by talking about your past behaviors and showing how you've demonstrated our leadership principles. So some example type questions you could be asked could be, something like, tell me about a time you were perhaps working in a project group and there was a bit of conflict in the group. What was it and how did you solve it? Another one could be, describe a time you took the lead on a project. What did you do when you needed to motivate the group or promote greater team collaboration? So depending on your answers, our interviewers will then dig in with follow-up questions to really understand your motivations and why you took the actions you did. So you also might be wondering, so okay, that's interesting, but why do we use them? So constructing our interviews in this way, it gives us, or rather, it gives you the chance to showcase your relevant experience and the required skills for the role. And then the other part of that is also that at Amazon, our behavioral-based interviews, they focus on our leadership principles, which are our guiding values and beliefs. So we use these every day in pretty much everything that we do, whether we're talking about projects, and in this case, talking about interviewing. This is obviously just how we use it when we are interviewing new possible employees to join us. Okay, and then how would you best prepare for these behavioral-based questions? Most importantly, I would say, you need to have a read through our leadership principles and get a really good understanding of what they stand for, and then start thinking about your life and situations you found yourself in where you have displayed these. Next point then would be, when answering these types of questions, it's best to use what is called the STAR method of answering these types of questions. So this is just basically, it's a well-structured way of tackling these behavioral type questions. So what STAR stands for is situation, and this is where the context and the scene setting is done, explaining why the situation arose in the first place. T stands for task, and this is where the objective will be described. What were you trying to achieve? A is for action. This is where you will detail, what you did to meet the objective. Important here at this step as well is also to separate the I did from the we did of the team. As interested as we are to know, how well you work in a team, we do also want to know what your contributions were and what your actions taken were in those scenarios. And then this finally leads us to R, which stands for result. So this is where you would wrap up and talk about the outcome. It's also an opportunity for you to show what you've learned from the experience and what you would change if you were to do it all again. It's important to note as well that not every scenario that you maybe talk about during your interviews will or needs to show your successes. It can talk to your failures as well, as this does give you the opportunity to show what you were able to learn in that situation, and that you've got that self-awareness to take a step back and say, this is what I could have done better, or if I was in the situation again, this is the actions that I would possibly take because I've learned from what has happened in the past. And then one other point to note with these interviews, and actually whichever type of interview you're in here, our interviewers will always allow a bit of time for you to ask questions at the end. So it's always best to have a few prepared to kind of talk through those with your interviewers as well. And then final bit is the technical side of the interviews. So our engineers tackle some of the most complex challenges in large-scale computing, as you would have heard from our interns as well. So with that in mind, we require applicants to demonstrate their technical skills in a number of areas. So depending again on the role, these will of course differ, but you could be looking, or rather, we could be looking at your knowledge around architecture and infrastructure, software development, machine learning, etc. So technical questions are asked in a way to display your understanding of concepts and tools, and why the tech in question works the way it does. It's one thing really to know about something, and then it's another thing to show your understanding, right? Like you could know something because you've read about it in the textbook, or anywhere for that matter, but do you actually understand it? So are you able to answer those follow-up questions to whatever it is you're talking about? So somebody could say, what is machine learning? And you give a perfect answer. But then, as they ask you those follow-up questions, are you able to still keep the conversation going? Because that really is where you can show your understanding. And yeah, I think that's it really. So what I'd say, just in sort of closing around the recruiting, is just to do your homework on the role, structure your CV well, and let it highlight why you would be a good fit for whichever role it is that you're applying for. Brush up on the required technical skills, get a good understanding of the leadership principles, and then, practice constructing your answers using the STAR method. If you do all these things, I think you'll be in pretty good shape to take on our interviews. And that's it from me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Stephen. I'm sure that was going to be very, very helpful for anyone thinking about recruiting or applying for AWS, and just understanding our recruiting processes a bit better, and definitely some really good sort of very transferable tips there around CV structuring and answering interview questions. So that brings us to the end of the presentation aspect of this webinar. We really want to answer any questions you might have, so please do pop your questions into the chat or in the panel, and we can address those now. And I think I will be handing over to Kira to help with the fielding of questions.
Cool. That'll actually be coming from me. So let's see. Okay, one for our interns. What kind of projects have you worked on in your internship? So maybe you can just kind of speak in general around the type of work that you guys have been doing.
So,
and that's open for anyone of you to jump in.
Okay, I will jump. Hello, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so the kind of projects you will be working on here is quite diverse, I would say. So one project is related to migration and how to optimize and speed up the migration process. And the other project is around Alexa, which is the voice assistant from Amazon. So as you can see, it's two different fields. And this highlights the amount of growth you will get here. So you will be working on multiple types of technologies. You will always experiment. You will always try. And it's okay to do them first time wrong, because you will get it right eventually. So experiment more often.
Awesome, thanks. Alanu, Zainab, anything you guys want to add?
Yeah. For my project, I'm working on, as Abdulatif said, diverse technologies. So I'm using some artificial intelligence capabilities, as well as techniques for scaling up. And yeah, it's diverse, as well as the chatbot. I'm building another chatbot in my project. And I'm working on many things. But this is just to sum up. These are the main things.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'd add on to that that my project has more to do with helping enterprises gain operational insights and take actions. So I've been using services like Systems Manager, which helps you check if there are any updates that are out for your servers, and so you can go ahead and take action and patch them. And so, yeah, my project was basically automating this process to accommodate thousands of servers in a click of one button. So it's been really, really good. And I truly enjoyed learning about that.
Awesome. Those all sound really interesting. Okay, let's have a look at what other questions we have coming in. Okay, what skills are relevant for cloud roles? Okay, so I'll jump in with this one. So if you think back to the slide that Melanie was showing earlier with the different cloud pathways, and it had quite a few different roles that are that you could sort of go into in the cloud. It really differs, really, depending on the role. If you obviously looking at software development, then we'd be looking for those software development skills. If you were perhaps looking at cloud support, then it's more around the infrastructure and the architecture. Our solutions architects and professional services consultants, as our interns can tell you, will have a really wide variety of skills for their role. They may also have a specialization that they that they specialize in. If let's say they are looking at machine learning or AI, that could be their area of specialization. But one of the sort of most important skills that I would say for any of our tech roles really is that problem solving ability. I think regardless of any role that you would be going into, having that ability to look at what the problem is and kind of work backwards from there to be able to come up with a solution. I think that is probably one of, if not the sort of most important kind of skill to have in with these roles. So having that critical thinking to be sort of very structured in how you go about your work. Not kind of just jumping around and just guessing at what the right step could be. It's just being very structured. I would say that's probably the most important. And then like I said, depending on the role, there would obviously be the technical competencies that would go with those roles from there. Okay, let's have a look. What else do we have coming in? Okay, this is one for the interns again. What are some of the main challenges you face in your day-to-day role?
I'll jump on this, and I'll say that for some niche services, like the one that I have used, which is Systems Manager, sometimes you want to do things that are a bit advanced, and the docs don't have everything that you need. And so this brought up the opportunity for me to reach out to my colleagues and to ask for help. And that's what is great about using AWS as a cloud provider, is that there is a huge community and so many people to help you, even in Stack Overflow or any other communities that are not related to AWS per se.
Perfect. Great. Anyone else want to add to that?
For me, what I struggle the most in is actually AWS has many services, so I feel confused on what service to use and which one will be better for my project. But as Zainab said, people in my team, they will help me. If I need any help, I can ask them, and they feel happy to help, and they're always supportive. So I don't think it's a big issue.
I think it's probably a great challenge to have, right? Like you've got, there's so much to learn, and you've got supportive people around you. So if you are someone who kind of relishes that challenge of having many things to learn, I think it's probably a challenge that really excites you. So that's awesome. That's good to hear. Abdul Latif, anything else that you want to add?
Well, I would love to say that get comfortable with any type of technology. When I joined Amazon Web Services, I was very hyped. I want to work with the compute, network, storage, databases, all these types. But the cloud is not only limited to this. So Alexa has its own console, but then you can link it to the cloud and do all the amazing things there. So get comfortable with any type of technology. I didn't expect myself to be working on a voice assistant, but then I found myself working on one. And it became very rewarding for me when I finished the project. I learned many things. I was really not clear about how Alexa works. Now I'm really comfortable and I've gained many skills on top of my existing skills. So I would say get comfortable with any type of technology. You don't know what you will encounter. And there is always this learning curve, but be ready to ride it and you will have help along the way. Just as Zainab said, there is a big community either outside, externally, or internally.
Awesome. So yeah, I think there's a sort of common sounding theme that's coming across there. I think, yeah, the biggest challenge that you guys say that you see on a day to day is also probably one of the things that gets you really excited. That there's so much to do, there's so much that you can get involved in, so much to learn. And yeah, again, like for anyone that that sort of thing excites you, this is probably a really good space to be in, because I don't think any, and I'm sure you guys will agree with me that no 2 days are the same. You're always doing new things. You've always got different things to different challenges to solve, different problems to solve. Cool. Okay. All right. I think that's all the time we have. So Melanie, I'll hand back to you.
Thank you so much, Stephen, and thank you so much, Zainab, Alinud, and Abdulatif, for your responses there. I definitely echo exactly what you said and how Stephen summarized. It's even for a non-technical role, you're constantly problem solving, working backwards from customers, and being challenged. And I think that's something really special, to constantly feel like you're growing in a role. And that's something that's very special about AWS and Amazon. And I think we've covered a lot today. I hope that's been very helpful. As I said at the start of the webinar, we have recorded this, so we will be able to make this available for you to revisit and for others to also view. And I think we'll be in touch through the Abdul Gharer Foundation for Education team around how to distribute that. So that will be coming your way soon. But thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck for those of you who have finals. Good luck with that. I'm sure you do great. And please do check out AWS Educate and upcoming roles with AWS and Amazon as well. Thank you so much.